Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's pre-meet interview. I'm here with head men's and women's track coach Anthony Drealan. Coach and his track squad will be heading down to Morningside to compete in the Sioux City Relays on Friday and Saturday. So, Coach, you're heading back down south this weekend with some pretty good weather forecasted, but we'll see what happens. What do you expect to see out of your team this weekend?
We should have some really good chances to perform well. It's nice to go to a 2-day meet. Things are spread out pretty well. It makes it really feasible for athletes to do multiple things and perform pretty well. So a couple things to note. We're running a men's 4x1 for the first time this year. That should be a relay that has a pretty good chance to do well. We're running both a men's and women's sprint medley relay, which is not a common event in outdoor track, so that's kind of fun. You get a chance to put those athletes together and run well, and we also have some 10,000 meter runners that we're trying to go and run some pretty good times as well. The throwers have a chance with their 4 events spread over 2 days to do some good things. So, all in all, we're just trying to see, what we can do in progression as we get into our 3rd week meet of the year. And this is kind of the time where things really start progressing well as we've gotten further into our training and a couple meets in.
So what does a typical practice look like for a DSU track athlete?
Yeah, we really quite often have 4 practices with all our different groups. And so with the throwers, they have a block of time in the early afternoon where they're normally throwing for 2 hours or so, and so Coach Glover's out there from early afternoon to late afternoon working with class schedules. And the thing about coaching those athletes is you really want to be able to watch much of the throws that they're doing and critique it. So that's a little bit different. Coach Kibbe with the jumps, similarly, he's really going to try to look at everything really closely, and so those are spread out over a longer period of time, and then myself and Coach Hauge and Coach Williams with distance and the sprinters. We have usually a mid-afternoon practice, and we're able to group up our big groups pretty easily and have them all go at similar times. But still, when you're out there and athletes are doing some sprint workouts, or my athletes are doing distance workouts, you're kind of running around checking on people, seeing how they're doing, adjusting and everything like that. So the great part about I don't know if the great part, but the thing with track and field is you're not going to be able to practice 3 hours every day like some sports. So we have some days where it's 40 minutes and it's done, which is kind of nice for the athletes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, yep.
And then last little fun question for you: where would you go for your dream vacation?
Something mountainous, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places in the U.S. or the world that'd be cool to see. And so my wife and I would love to see the Canadian Rockies, go to Alaska someday. Iceland looks really cool.
Iceland, wow.
Yeah, sometimes you can fly from Minneapolis to Reykjavik for pretty cheap, So anyways, a lot of places. But yeah, something with mountains and that sort of thing.
When it's warmer or cooler?
Doesn't matter too much. But I wouldn't consider myself a wilderness expert, so I would stick to the summer months. So.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to answer those questions. Like I said, the track team will head down to Morningside on Friday and Saturday to compete in the Sioux City Relays. Thank you very much for watching.